Hey, what's going on, everybody? Hope we're doing great today. Happy Saturday. We got the public betting guide for MLB and NFL today, so be sure to like and subscribe. Check out all my betting links in the description below to get in on the action. Go ahead, turn on those notification bells. And yeah, we'll hop in here. Braves and Mets for game one. 64% of the money on the Mets plus 1.5. 98% of the money on the over 11. And then 92% of the money on the Mets money line. Cubs and Blue Jays, 70% of the bets are on the Cubs minus 1.5, 56% of the money on the under 8.5, and then 63% of the money on the Cubs money line. Tigers and Red Sox, 90% of the money on the Tigers plus 1.5, 88% of the money on the under 10, and then 51% of the money on the Tigers money line. Yankees and Marlins, 98% of the money on the Marlins minus 1.5, 92% of the money on the over 8, and then 87% of the money on the Marlins money line. Guardians and Rays, 98% of the money on the Guardians plus 1.5, 82% of the money on the under 8, and then 63% of the money are on the Rays money line. Twins and Phillies, 85% of the money on the Twins minus 1.5, 94% of the money on the under 9, and then 81% of the money on the Twins money line. A's and Nationals, 92% of the money on the A's plus 1.5, 52% of the money on the under 9.5, and then 71% of the money on the A's money line. Reds and Pirates, 99% of the money on the Pirates plus 1.5, 89% of the money on the over 9.5, and then 72% of the money on the Reds money line. Cardinals and Royals, 92% of the money on the Royals plus 1.5, 99% of the money on the under 9.5, and then 79% of the money on the Royals money line. Angels and Astros, 60% of the money on the Angels plus 1.5, 77% of the money on the under 9.5, and then 68% of the money on the Astros money line. Brewers and White Sox, 77% of the money on the Brewers minus 1.5, 99% of the money on the under 8, and then 93% of the money on the Brewers money line. Braves and Mets, 86% of the money on the Braves minus 1.5, 87% of the money on the over 8.5, and then 99% of the money on the Mets money line. Padres and Diamondbacks, 82% of the money on the Diamondbacks minus 1.5, 51% of the money on the over 9, and then 68% of the money on the Diamondbacks money line. Rangers and Giants, 87% of the bets are on the Rangers minus 1.5, 93% of the money on the over 8.5, and then 86% of the bets are on the Rangers money line. Rockies and Dodgers, 79% of the money on the Dodgers minus 1.5, 55% of the money on the under 9.5, and 68% of the money on the Rockies money line. Then the Orioles and Mariners, 60% of the money on the Mariners minus 1.5, 81% of the money on the under 8, and then 93% of the money on the Mariners money line. And then NFL, we got some matchups today. Titans and Bears, 87% of the money on the Titans plus 3.5, 75% of the money on the under 37.5, and then 60% of the money on the Bears money line. Colts and Bills, 68% of the money on the Colts Colts minus 3.5, 85% of the money on the under 37.5, and then 55% of the money on the Bills money line. Jets and Panthers, 56% of the money on the Panthers minus 3.5, 60% of the money on the under 37.5, and then 97% of the money on the Panthers money line. Jaguars and Cowboys, 94% of the money on the Cowboys plus 4, 83% of the money on the over 37.5, and then 56% of the money on the Cowboys money line. Eagles and Ravens, 95% of the money on the Ravens minus 5.5, 81% of the money on the over 35.5, and then 99% of the money on the Ravens money line. Then the Chargers and Rams, 92% of the money on the Rams -3, 98% of the money on the over 33.5, and then 80% of the money on the Rams money line. That's going to be it for the video. Good luck with your picks and parlays on Saturday. Hope you guys all cash out, and I'll see you guys Sunday. Have a good one.